The introduction of Christianity to Igbo land, the cross among the ancestors. In the mid-19th century, a quiet revolution began in the heart of southeastern Nigeria. It was not the kind of revolution sparked by guns or flags, but by a book, a foreign tongue, and a wooden cross. It was a revolution that would alter the spiritual, cultural, and social landscape of Igbo land forever. This is the story of how Christianity first came to the Igbo people, a story of conflict and conversion, resistance and renewal. Before the arrival of Christian missionaries, the Igbo people practiced a deeply rooted traditional religion. Their world was spiritually rich, shaped by a pantheon of deities like Chukwu, Amadioha, Ani, and Ani. These gods and goddesses governed everything from justice and fertility to war and harvest. The ancestors were venerated and considered powerful intermediaries between the living and the spiritual realm. Every family compound had a shrine. Every village had its rituals, festivals, and sacred groves. Into this spiritually vibrant world came a group of strangers, white men and women from Europe, accompanied by African converts from the coast. The missionaries arrived by boat, traveling up the Niger River and settling in small villages near trading posts and riverbanks. Their mission was clear: to spread the gospel of Jesus Christ, to bring the light of civilization to the so-called heathen peoples of the interior. In one such village, let us call it Umuaka, the arrival of the missionaries stirred both curiosity and suspicion. The villagers gathered in the square to see these foreigners who spoke in strange tongues and carried a large book and a wooden cross. They did not come with gifts or trade goods, but with songs, prayers, and promises of eternal life. The village elders, led by Chief Udo, invited the missionaries to speak. Through their interpreter, an Igbo man named Ichukwa who had converted to Christianity at the coast, the missionaries explained their purpose. They spoke of a single, all-powerful God who created the heavens and the earth, a God who sent his Son, Jesus Christ, to die for the sins of all people. They claimed that this God offered salvation and eternal life to all who believed in him. To the elders and spiritual leaders of Umuaka, this was a baffling and unsettling message. How could there be only one God? What of Ani, who nurtured the earth? What of the ancestors, who protected the living? What of the gods who had served their people faithfully for generations? Priestess Adeoma, the high priestess of the earth goddess Ani, was especially troubled. She warned the people that these missionaries sought not only to replace their gods but to erase their heritage. These strangers bring a god of forgetting, she told the villagers, a god who asks you to pour libation no more, to abandon the festivals that bind our community. Despite the warnings, many were drawn to the missionaries. Sister Margaret, a British nurse, treated sick children with unfamiliar herbs and hygiene practices. Reverend Henry Walsh and catechist Ichukwa taught the youth to read and write, using the Bible as their textbook. The simple act of being able to read one's own name in English became a powerful symbol of empowerment for many Igbo youth. Among the first converts was Chima, the son of Chief Udo. Intelligent and inquisitive, Chima found the stories of Jesus inspiring. He was fascinated by the idea of a God who loved all people equally, regardless of status or lineage. His decision to be baptized shocked the village. During his baptism in the river, villagers watched in silence, some in awe, others in sorrow. His own father warned him, "Do not forget the land from which you came." As more people converted, tensions rose. Elders lamented that young people refused to participate in traditional festivals. Some destroyed family shrines, seeing them as idols. In return, the converts were sometimes ostracized or denied rights to family land. Villages became spiritually divided, not by war, but by belief. Still, the spread of Christianity continued. The missionaries built schools and small churches. Hymns began to mingle with the echoes of traditional drums. Converts learned not just to read and write, but to question old customs. They rejected certain practices such as the killing of twins, slavery, and human sacrifice, practices which some missionaries associated with pagan darkness, although not all were common or accepted in every Igbo village. Priestess Adeoma stood her ground. She kept the fires burning in the shrine of Ani, even as fewer people came to consult the gods. One day, she visited the small church to confront the missionaries. "You heal their bodies," she said to Sister Margaret, "but you take their souls." Sister Margaret replied quietly, "We only show them another path. It is their choice to walk it." Ironically, it was not always a pure choice. As British colonial rule tightened its grip on Nigeria, Christianity was often favored by the new administration. Converts were given access to Western education and better jobs. Traditional leaders who resisted were sometimes labeled as backward. Over time, the cross became not just a symbol of faith, but a key to social mobility. Yet the missionaries were not always agents of empire. Many, like Reverend Walsh, criticized the British government's exploitation of African land and labor. "We bring the cross, not the crown," he once told a colonial officer. But the lines between religion and politics, between faith and power, were rarely clear. By the late 19th century, the change was irreversible. In villages like Umuaka, churches and schools stood beside abandoned shrines. Children sang hymns in English and Igbo. The old gods, though not entirely forgotten, had been pushed to the margins of society. Some elders adapted, blending Christian practices with traditional rituals. Others withdrew, holding fast to the ways of their ancestors. And yet, not all was lost. The values embedded in Igbo religion, respect for elders, community harmony, reverence for nature, and the sacredness of life, found echoes in Christian teachings. Over time, a unique religious identity emerged, blending the old and the new. Some scholars call it syncretism, others call it survival. Today, in towns and cities across Igbo land, churches ring with praise songs every Sunday. But in quiet corners, under ancient trees or beside ancestral tombs, offerings are still made. The ancestors are remembered. The land is still honored. Christianity may have brought new ways of seeing the world, but it did not entirely erase the past. The introduction of Christianity to Igbo land was not a simple story of conversion. It was a complex encounter, between gods and God, between tradition and transformation, between memory and change. It challenged the people to choose, not between right and wrong, but between continuity and evolution. In the end, the cross did not destroy the ancestors. It stood among them, as a symbol of how a people can embrace new truths while still honoring where they came from.